So we have 3 ways of directly reaching potential voters and 2 ways of indirectly reaching them. We have a team of each of those. So there's something for everybody in this room or that you meet. So I'm going to tell you about them just quickly. And the reason I can do it quickly without questions is that then you'll go to breakouts for one of them. Now, if you wish to be in 2 places, then there's a sign-up sheet over there to get in the loop for the ongoing work after this, because we're launching. So that's what those sheets over there are for. So let's talk about postcarding and that slide, Glenn. All right, a lot of us, almost there. Next slide.
It's not working.
Well, I'll talk anyway and it'll catch up. Lots of us are familiar with writing postcards to environmental voters because we've done that in the last couple of elections. Hand addressed postcards get people's attention because they're rare. Environmental Voter Project has message tested different things against each other to see the impact on turnout. And they found that what they call a social pressure message works best. So we'll use exactly the words they tell us and not change them. Our goal is at least 20,000 postcards, and Phil's over there signing them out to groups or people. And we're going to mail them 3 weeks before the August 13th primary, which means July 23rd, which means you can start now and you have months to do it, but don't lose them and don't mail them till the 23rd. All right. So, and that's what the postcard looks like. CCL National Headquarters is supporting us by designing those postcards and paying for the printing of them, which they've already done, and providing us with a list of 30,000 registered but infrequent climate concerned voters. So we're going after the people that have a high environmental score because they know everything about you in those lists, but you don't turn out to vote very often. Though they are overlooked by campaigns. Postcarding is like this amazing team building event. So if at all possible, just never do it alone, okay? Whether you're at your kitchen table, pull somebody in, or a bar, or a coffee shop, like make it a shared activity. Postage stamps are 53 cents. Watch out for the cheap discounted ones. Some of those are scams, and so we'll try to keep you posted if we find one we absolutely trust, but that's a lot. So the only way we can afford that is that you ask. We'll come back to that. You can share that in the thing. Phil's the postcarding breakout person. So you got to ask everybody who fills out postcards if they possibly can to come with their stamps and stick it on there. All right. Or you have to ask people who say, I can't write because my handwriting is illegible, to say, well, can you contribute post stamps? All right. So, because we don't have that budget. Sorry. All right, and I want to thank Phil Smith for agreeing to manage the distribution of those names, and Glenn Eklund, who will manage mailing postcards out to people after today. He and I took a picture of these 7 boxes that arrived in our building yesterday. On to phone banking. The phone bank, next slide, Glenn. The phone banking team. Well, some of you like phone banking and some of you don't. Some of you gives you that face. It takes fewer people to reach 30,000 names, and that's what we'll have. 10 people can call through a list of 10,000 names with the software, using that software in 2 hours, according to Environmental Voter Project. So we don't need 1 million people, we need 50. We want to call through a list of 30,000 names several times because they don't all pick up, and most of them will never pick up, but you live for the ones who do. And you can practice ahead of time with Environmental Voter Project, phone banking in other states. And that way you learn how to use that software, because the first thing you spend your first half hour doing is learning that. And then you'll be ready when we do it in the last 3 weeks before our August 13th election, unless you're on vacation. So our first opportunity, we're going to do this as a team, right? Not do it all alone. So Wisconsin is going to have Wisconsin night on the CCL National Phone Banking on March 13th, right? And we'll make sure you hear about that after this too. Because our national staff is running every Wednesday night phone banking for EVP for our volunteers across the country. So we can go practice our phone banking and you can find out if it makes you smile or not. All right, we also need 4 to 6 people who will learn how to host these Zoom phone banking sessions. So really wonderful people can talk to Jay or me. And I want to thank June Gestelin, my intrepid intern, who is helping to set this up. He's way over there. And leading that team, he's going off to college. And so we also need a co-lead who isn't going to college in the fall. All right, and I want to thank Jay Edgar for learning the back end with a little team. That's the people who know how to stick the names in there and not screw it up. All right, you'll hear more about phone banking when Brandon Keating comes to talk to us. She's going to make the script with us. Next slide. Courageous voter conversations, sometimes called relational organizing. All right, so there's people who aren't registered, who aren't on these lists that the campaigns or we get that you just don't know you know them yet, maybe. Our friends, neighbors, family members, people down the street, people doing our shared hobbies, our congregations, they're all potential people that could be turned out to vote. Who some of them might not be registered, some of them might be disengaged or angry and not planning to vote. So we can learn to have effective conversations with them and reach a whole nother chunk of people. It's the cheapest form of outreach. It's free and it can be a little scary. So that's why we're calling it the Courageous Voting Conversations Team. You can learn how to do this. And those skills are useful on all kinds of CCL work or your life. So that's a reason to do it. Okay. Those are, next slide, the one-to-one methods of reaching people. And then we have, of course, print and social media. And I want to thank Hope, Xanthi, and Anna for anchoring our social media outreach. They'll want to know who among us uses social media. There's a breakout. There's also a place where you can put that down over there in that window. Likewise, print media, I want to thank Kelly Onrud for anchoring that outreach. So if you're a letter to the editor writer and you're willing to write and get ideas about how to weave climate voting into your letters to the editor, you can put that down and people can share their ideas and successes. You could use some team members. Okay. Here's a rough timeline. So next slide. March, that's now. We launch our teams. This is the beginning. April, Earth Day, big month for outreach. So we're going to use that to recruit volunteers and start postcarding. And later I'll show you a flyer we made that you can use. April, May, June, and early July, 20,000 postcards. We have months. Start early, don't procrastinate, don't lose them. Mid-July through August 9th, phone banking starts then. 30,000 people, intrepid crew. August 10th to 13th, that's the days right before the election. Personal reminders to people that you have reached out to through your networking to vote. And of course, don't forget to vote yourself. We will do similar things for the November 5th election, but in less time, and I didn't map it out yet because by then we'll know more too. Okay, next slide. You'll have a chance to pick a breakout for one of those teams. And some of you might want to do more than one thing. And this is where we're going to pause just a little bit. Wow. I've talked really fast. Am I talking too fast?
No.
Yeah, I could, but that's what the breakouts are for. Let me think about look at my clock. Brandon, when's Brandon coming? Jill, when's Brandon coming? Somebody's looking at their schedule.
8 minutes.
Oh, I'm not ahead of time. There you go. Thank you, Jay. All right. So I want you to have a look at that piece of paper with the agenda that I have right here. On the back, you'll see there's little places for you to write because I used to teach first grade. I can't help it. So if you like affirmations, you can stick one in there. I like to just remind myself regularly, I'm not the only one doing this. It makes a big difference to remember that. And then you can think about, what do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? You might have seen these questions before. What's needed? And somewhere in that answers is like, what should you most spend your time on this year around the elections? You might go, what's most needed is phone banking, but I hate it, so I'm not going to do it. Or you might go, but it's needed and I enjoy doing things that are needed, so I'm going to try it. That's a place where you can think about it. The second half that's labeled part two is just for using during the day as things come up and you have notes. So for right now, I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes. Some of you already have pens going, and just think about um, your thoughts on that part, on those part one things, or just give your brain a rest for a minute.